Boutique manager slaps black girl, unaware her father is Shaquille O'Neal. The day had started like any other in the bustling city. People hurried along the sidewalks, carrying shopping bags, chatting on phones, and sipping coffee from the local cafes. In the midst of this busy scene, a small but upscale boutique stood out on the corner of a busy street. Its large glass windows showcased designer clothes and accessories arranged carefully on mannequins, each outfit perfectly styled. The boutique had a reputation for being elegant and exclusive, attracting shoppers who were looking for high-quality items and a luxurious shopping experience. Inside the boutique, the atmosphere was calm but sophisticated. Soft music played in the background, and the subtle scent of perfumes filled the air. A few shoppers moved slowly between the racks, carefully examining fabrics and colors. The store had a few employees, each dressed neatly in black uniforms, walking around to assist customers and tidy the displays. Among them was the manager, a middle-aged woman with a sharp expression and a commanding presence. She took pride in running a strict and organized store, where rules were followed and every detail mattered. But on this particular day, her patience had already been tested. The morning had been unusually hectic, with several large groups of customers, multiple returns, and a few minor accidents in the store. By the afternoon, she was tense, moving briskly and keeping a sharp eye on every customer who walked in. At this moment, a young girl stepped through the boutique's doors. She was around 16 years old, tall for her age, with a confident but quiet demeanor. Her hair was neatly styled, and she wore a fashionable yet modest outfit that reflected her personality: simple, clean, and elegant. She had come with two close friends, and together they wandered through the store, looking at different sections. The girls were laughing softly and pointing at a few items they liked, their excitement gentle and restrained. The boutique, known for its luxury items, sometimes made teenagers feel out of place, but the girl carried herself with ease, respectful of the surroundings and careful not to disturb anything. She moved toward a display of accessories, her eyes catching a small row of handbags. She picked up one of the bags, admiring its texture and design. Her fingers brushed lightly against the material as she turned it around to see it from different angles. Nearby, a mannequin's scarf had slipped slightly from its position, and the girl instinctively reached to straighten it. Her intentions were completely innocent, but to the manager watching from across the room, the movement appeared hurried and careless. The manager's eyes narrowed. She had been on edge all day, and this small action struck her as a breach of the boutique's decorum. Before the girl could even react, the manager approached her quickly, her steps brisk and her face stern. "Excuse me," she said sharply, her voice carrying across the boutique. The girl turned, startled, and the manager's expression grew harsher. "You need to be more careful with our items. This is not a place to just touch things as you please." The girl, still composed, tried to explain herself politely. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to," she began, but the manager interrupted her mid-sentence. The manager's patience had run out. Perhaps she felt embarrassed in front of other customers, or perhaps the stress of the day had reached a tipping point. Without thinking fully, she reached out and slapped the girl on the cheek. The sound was sharp and sudden, echoing in the quiet store. The girl froze, shock and confusion spreading across her face. Her friends gasped, their hands flying to their mouths as they stared in disbelief. Other shoppers turned toward the scene, their eyes wide and voices hushed with surprise. No one could believe what had just happened in what was supposed to be a calm, respectable boutique. For a few moments, the store seemed frozen. The girl's cheek tingled painfully, and a mix of emotions flooded her mind: anger, confusion, and embarrassment all at once. But she did not scream or retaliate. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, aware that any sudden reaction could escalate the situation further. Her friends moved closer, one holding her arm gently, the other looking directly at the manager with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "How could you do that?" one of them whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. The manager, still standing rigidly, seemed surprised by the reaction. She looked around, realizing that several customers had witnessed the incident. Some of them were reaching for their phones to record what had happened, while others shook their heads in disapproval. The girl's mind was racing. She felt a wave of embarrassment, not just from the physical act but from the idea that everyone in the boutique had seen it happen. Yet beneath that embarrassment was a quiet sense of resolve. She had been taught to handle difficult situations with composure, and despite the sting on her cheek, she refused to let the manager see her breakdown. "It's okay," she said softly to her friends, who were urging her to respond. She looked at the manager, her eyes calm but firm, signaling that she was not going to allow the moment to define her. Meanwhile, the manager, still unaware of who she had just struck, began muttering excuses under her breath. "She shouldn't be touching everything. She's too careless. I can't have people like this in my store." Her words, intended as self-justification, only fueled the growing tension in the boutique. Customers who had been quietly observing began murmuring among themselves, expressing their shock and disapproval. "Did that really just happen?" one woman whispered to her friend. "I can't believe she hit her like that in public." Some customers stepped closer to see if the girl was all right, offering words of comfort and support. As the initial shock began to settle, the girl's thoughts turned to her family. She knew that this incident would need to be addressed, but she also wanted to ensure that it was handled in the right way. Her father, known publicly as a famous and respected figure, had always taught her the importance of standing up for herself while remaining calm and composed. She remembered his advice clearly: stay calm, explain what happened, and never let anger control your actions. People respect composure more than confrontation. These words gave her strength, helping her keep her voice steady as she and her friends quietly moved toward the exit, still mindful of the other customers in the boutique. Outside the store, the city's usual noise greeted them: the honking of cars, the chatter of pedestrians, and the distant hum of construction. The girl paused, taking a moment to compose herself, her friends supporting her on either side. She knew she needed to contact her father and explain everything clearly. She also knew that this incident, while deeply upsetting, could become a teaching moment not just for herself, but for others who might face similar situations. It was a chance to show that even in the face of unfair treatment, one could remain dignified, stand up for oneself, and seek justice in a calm and thoughtful way. By the time she called her father, the incident had already begun to ripple through the community. Some of the boutique's customers had shared their videos on social media, capturing the moment of the slap and the reactions that followed. Comments started pouring in, with many people expressing outrage at the manager's actions. Others offered support and encouragement, praising the girl for handling the situation with maturity and poise. The young girl, while still processing what had happened, felt a sense of solidarity from the public that bolstered her confidence and helped her prepare for the next steps. As she spoke with her father, she recounted the events carefully, her words measured and clear. He listened attentively, his voice calm but firm as he assured her that he would address the matter. Despite the public attention and potential media coverage, he emphasized the importance of handling the situation responsibly and with dignity. "We'll make sure this is addressed," he said. "But remember, your calmness and honesty are your greatest strengths right now. Don't let anyone make you feel ashamed for standing up for yourself." Back at the boutique, the manager was beginning to realize the gravity of what she had done. The videos on social media were spreading quickly, and she started receiving messages and calls from concerned customers and her superiors. For the first time, she felt a pang of fear and regret. She had acted impulsively, allowing her frustration and stress to dictate her behavior, and now the consequences were beginning to appear. She looked around the store, noting the silence from some of the remaining customers, and understood that her actions had not only hurt the young girl but also damaged the reputation of the boutique itself. By the end of the day, the incident had become a topic of discussion in the city. News outlets began reaching out to the boutique for statements, while social media buzzed with people sharing their opinions. The young girl, despite the pain and embarrassment she had felt earlier, found herself reflecting on the lessons of the day. She realized the importance of composure, of standing up for oneself respectfully, and of seeking support from loved ones when faced with unfair treatment. Most importantly, she understood that even in moments of sudden adversity, one could choose dignity over anger and strength over fear. And so, the day ended not just with a sense of injustice, but with the quiet knowledge that the young girl had handled the situation with courage and grace. Though the boutique manager had acted recklessly, the girl's calmness and resilience set the stage for a story that would soon capture the attention of many, highlighting the power of composure, family support, and personal strength in the face of unexpected challenges. After the shocking incident at the boutique, the young girl and her friends stepped outside, their hearts still racing from what had just happened. The cool air of the city street offered a small comfort, but the sting on her cheek reminded her that the moment was very real. Her friends stayed close, offering quiet words of support and helping her walk steadily despite the shock. "I can't believe she did that," one whispered, shaking her head. "You didn't deserve that at all." The girl nodded silently, feeling a mix of emotions: anger, confusion, and disbelief. But above all, she felt the need to handle the situation thoughtfully. She knew that reacting impulsively could make things worse, and she wanted to make sure that justice, not anger, guided the next steps. The first thing on her mind was her father. Though she was strong and composed, she had learned over the years that some situations required guidance from those with experience and authority. She reached for her phone, her fingers slightly trembling, and dialed his number. Within moments, he answered. The familiar calmness in his voice immediately helped her feel a little steadier. "Hey, Dad," she said softly. "Something happened at the boutique, someone hit me." She took a deep breath, carefully explaining the events: how she had accidentally moved a scarf, how the manager had shouted at her, and then, most shocking of all, had slapped her in front of other customers. Her voice wavered slightly as she described the incident, but she remained polite and composed, not allowing panic or anger to take over. Her father listened quietly, absorbing every detail. Though he was upset that his daughter had been treated this way, he kept his tone steady and calm. He knew that this was a moment to show her how to respond with dignity and strength. "I'm glad you stayed calm," he said. "That's very important. We'll handle this, but we need to do it the right way." He reassured her that she had done nothing wrong and that her composure was a sign of strength. At the same time, he began thinking about the steps needed to address the situation: contacting the boutique management, understanding the facts, and ensuring that the incident would not be ignored or repeated. He also understood that the incident could quickly gain public attention, so handling it responsibly would be crucial. While she spoke with her father, her friends continued to support her. They suggested walking to a nearby cafe to sit and collect themselves before heading home. The girl agreed, knowing that a brief pause to calm down would help her think more clearly about what to do next. As they walked, she noticed some of the customers who had witnessed the incident stepping outside as well. Some approached them with concern, asking if she was okay and expressing disbelief at what had occurred. "I saw what happened," one woman said. "That was completely unacceptable. I hope you report it." The girl nodded politely, feeling grateful for the support of strangers who had witnessed the event. Meanwhile, back inside the boutique, the atmosphere had changed dramatically. The employees and manager realized that the incident had not gone unnoticed. Some customers remained in the store, quietly talking about what had happened and taking videos with their phones. The boutique manager, once confident in her control of the situation, began to feel uneasy. She noticed the angry and disappointed expressions on the faces of customers, as well as the growing number of videos circulating on social media. For the first time, she began to grasp the seriousness of her actions. She muttered under her breath, trying to justify herself, but her excuses sounded weak even to her own ears. "I was just trying to maintain order, she was careless," she said quietly, but the words did little to ease the tension. The videos taken by customers began spreading almost immediately. Within minutes, they appeared on social media platforms, showing the manager's sudden slap and the stunned reactions of the young girl and her friends. People from all over the city and eventually across the country saw the clips. Comments began pouring in, expressing outrage and disbelief. "How can someone act like that in a public store?" one user wrote. "She didn't deserve that at all." Others praised the girl's calmness and composure. "She handled it so well, even when being hit in front of everyone," another comment said. The incident quickly gained traction, sparking discussions about respect, customer treatment, and the importance of handling stressful situations professionally. As the social media attention grew, the young girl's father, now fully informed of the incident, decided to take immediate action. He knew that addressing the situation quickly and calmly was essential, not only to protect his daughter but also to ensure that the boutique took responsibility for its actions. He began by contacting the boutique's corporate office and the local management team. His approach was firm but measured, emphasizing that the incident was serious and that accountability was required. He wanted to ensure that the boutique understood the gravity of the situation and that steps would be taken to prevent anything similar in the future. At the same time, he discussed with his daughter how to handle the growing public attention. He reminded her that while it was natural to feel anxious about people seeing the videos and commenting, she should continue to stay composed and speak honestly about what had happened. He also emphasized the importance of using the experience to educate others, showing that even in the face of unfair treatment, dignity and calmness were powerful tools. The young girl listened carefully, feeling reassured by her father's guidance. She began to understand that this incident, while upsetting, could become a teaching moment for herself, her friends, and even the wider community. Back at the boutique, the staff began feeling the pressure as more people learned about the incident. Customers continued to post videos online, and some local news outlets reached out for comments. Employees whispered among themselves, unsure of how the manager would handle the situation. The boutique manager, increasingly aware of the public attention, tried to compose herself but found it difficult. She realized that her impulsive actions had consequences far beyond what she had imagined. The store's reputation, which had taken years to build, was now at risk because of a single moment of poor judgment. The young girl and her friends decided to go home after spending some time at the cafe. During the walk back, they discussed what had happened and shared their thoughts. "It's crazy how fast people are noticing this online," one friend said. "But I'm proud of how you stayed calm. You didn't let her ruin your day." The girl smiled faintly, grateful for their support. She understood that anger or retaliation would not help, and that staying composed and seeking proper support was the right way to handle the situation. She also thought about how many other young people might face similar moments of unfair treatment and realized that her response could serve as an example. When they arrived home, the girl's father was waiting to talk to her in person. He wanted to hear the full story directly, to ensure he understood every detail before taking further action. She recounted the incident again, this time focusing on her feelings and the reactions of her friends and other customers. Her father listened carefully, nodding and asking thoughtful questions to clarify details. He wanted to ensure that his daughter's voice was heard accurately, and that the boutique would be held accountable in a fair and responsible manner. He also emphasized that the incident should not affect her confidence or her sense of self-worth. "You handled this better than most adults would," he told her. "Stay proud of who you are and how you reacted." Over the next several hours, the social media response continued to grow. The videos went viral, shared by thousands of people across different platforms. News outlets began reporting on the incident, highlighting the young girl's composure and the manager's inappropriate behavior. Public opinion largely sided with the girl, praising her for remaining calm and respectful despite being treated unfairly. Many people used the situation to discuss broader issues, such as customer service standards, professional conduct, and how individuals should handle stress and frustration without taking it out on others. The young girl, while still processing everything, began to see that the incident could spark meaningful conversations and potentially lead to positive changes in how people treat one another. By the end of the day, the boutique's management realized that they could not ignore the incident any longer. Calls, emails, and social media messages flooded in, demanding accountability. The manager who had slapped the young girl was confronted by her superiors, who wanted to understand why the situation had escalated and what steps would be taken to prevent it in the future. The boutique recognized that the incident had damaged its reputation and that swift, responsible action was necessary to regain public trust. Meanwhile, the young girl, supported by her friends and her father, felt a sense of empowerment. Despite the unfairness of the situation, she had handled it with dignity, and her composure was being recognized by people across the country. As night fell, the young girl reflected on the events of the day. She felt a mix of emotions: relief that the initial shock was over, pride in how she had handled herself, and determination to ensure that the incident would be addressed properly. She realized that even though she had been treated unfairly, she had the power to control her response, and that her actions could influence others positively. With her father's support and the growing public attention, she knew that justice and accountability were possible. The experience, while difficult, had taught her valuable lessons about composure, resilience, and the importance of seeking guidance when faced with unexpected challenges. The following morning, the story of the boutique incident had already begun to spread widely. Social media was buzzing with posts, shares, and comments about what had happened. Videos of the manager slapping the young girl had been uploaded to multiple platforms and were quickly going viral. Thousands of people were watching and sharing the clips, expressing outrage at the manager's actions and admiration for the girl's calm and composed response. Even those who had never met the girl felt a sense of connection to her, impressed by the way she had handled such a shocking situation without reacting impulsively or retaliating. The girl woke up feeling a mix of emotions. She was still stunned by the event itself, but seeing the support pouring in from the public gave her a sense of relief and reassurance. Her friends, who had stayed up late monitoring social media, showed her the numerous messages of support and encouragement. "People are really noticing what happened," one friend said, scrolling through the comments. "They're on your side. They can see you stayed calm." The girl nodded quietly, feeling a warm sense of solidarity. It was comforting to know that so many people recognized her composure and understood that she had been treated unfairly. Her father, Shaquille O'Neal, was already aware of the growing public attention. He had been monitoring the situation closely since the previous day and had begun planning how to address it responsibly. As a public figure, he understood that the incident could quickly attract media attention and that his response would be closely watched. He wanted to ensure that the situation was handled in a way that emphasized accountability, fairness, and dignity. He spoke to his daughter again, reminding her to stay calm and truthful in any interviews or statements. "This is an opportunity to show the world how to respond to unfair treatment," he told her. "Your calmness and honesty are more powerful than anger ever could be." Meanwhile, the boutique manager, now fully aware that the incident was public and widely discussed, began to feel the weight of her actions. She watched as the videos of the slap spread across social media and saw comments criticizing her behavior and calling for accountability. Some of the boutique's longtime customers expressed disappointment and concern, questioning how such an incident could happen in a store known for its professionalism and elegance. The manager attempted to justify herself in internal conversations, saying that the girl had been careless and that she had only reacted out of frustration. However, even her colleagues seemed skeptical of these excuses. The evidence was clear: the video showed a sudden, unprovoked slap and public opinion was largely against her. As the news continued to spread, reporters and journalists began reaching out to both the boutique and the girl's family for comments. Many wanted to understand not just what had happened, but also the broader implications. Was this a case of poor customer service, a misunderstanding, or something more serious about how people treat young shoppers in public spaces? The questions were many, but the girl and her family were careful to respond thoughtfully, emphasizing respect, accountability, and the importance of handling difficult situations calmly. Her father, with his experience in the public eye, guided her in crafting responses that were honest but measured, ensuring that the focus remained on the incident and the lessons to be learned rather than on sensationalism. The public's interest in the story grew quickly. News outlets ran headlines about the incident, highlighting the key details. A young girl had been slapped by a boutique manager, the video had gone viral, and the girl's father, Shaquille O'Neal, was now involved. People across the country were shocked, discussing the importance of treating customers, especially young people, with respect and care. Many praised the girl for her courage and composure, noting that her response was a model of how to handle unexpected and unfair treatment in a calm and responsible way. Others called for the boutique to take strong action against the manager, insisting that accountability was necessary to prevent similar incidents in the future. As the girl's story gained attention, she began receiving messages from people she did not know, friends of friends, strangers, and even public figures offering support and encouragement. "You handled that situation so well," one message read. "I can't imagine being in your shoes, but you stayed strong and calm. That's inspiring." These messages, though overwhelming at times, helped her feel that she was not alone. She realized that many people had experienced similar moments of unfair treatment and could relate to her experience. The support she received reinforced her confidence, reminding her that responding with dignity and calmness was the right approach. Her father continued to be a steady source of guidance. He emphasized that while public attention could be both positive and overwhelming, it was important to stay grounded and focused on the key goal, ensuring accountability and raising awareness about respectful behavior. He also reminded her that this was not just about her own experience, but about sending a message that everyone deserves to be treated with respect. "You have a platform now," he said. "Use it wisely, and show people that composure and integrity matter more than anger or revenge." The young girl took his words to heart, understanding that her response could influence not just her immediate surroundings but also a wider audience who might be watching and learning from the situation. At the boutique, tensions continued to rise. The management team realized that the incident could no longer be handled quietly or internally. They needed to address the situation publicly and take action against the manager to restore confidence in their store. Calls and emails from concerned customers, social media users, and journalists were flooding in, each demanding accountability and expressing disappointment. The manager, who had acted impulsively the day before, now faced serious consequences. She began to understand that her actions had far-reaching effects, not only damaging her own reputation but also impacting the boutique's image and credibility. Meanwhile, the girl and her father prepared for the possibility of media interviews. They wanted to ensure that the story was told accurately, highlighting the events of the incident, the inappropriate behavior of the manager, and the lessons that could be learned. They also wanted to emphasize the importance of staying calm, composed, and respectful even when faced with unfair treatment. With careful preparation, they were able to speak confidently about the situation, ensuring that the focus remained on accountability and respectful behavior rather than sensationalism or personal attacks. As the day went on, more people became aware of the incident. Local community groups, advocacy organizations, and social media users began discussing the importance of treating young people, especially in public and retail spaces, with fairness and respect. The story sparked conversations about customer service, professionalism, and how stress or frustration should never be taken out on others. Many people praised the young girl as an example of resilience, noting that her calm response in the face of a sudden and unfair action was something that everyone could learn from. Her ability to maintain dignity and composure, even after being publicly slapped, became the central theme of the story as it spread further. By the evening, the boutique had received formal inquiries from several news organizations. They were asked for statements regarding the incident, what actions had been taken against the manager, and how they planned to prevent similar situations in the future. The management team realized that swift action was necessary. They issued an apology acknowledging that the incident had been inappropriate and unacceptable, promising to investigate the matter and take disciplinary action. The manager, who had been the source of the controversy, was placed under review, and the boutique announced plans to implement additional staff training on proper conduct, customer service, and handling stressful situations responsibly. For the young girl, the attention and support she received brought a sense of validation. While the incident had been deeply upsetting, she realized that her calmness and integrity had captured the respect of people across the city and even nationally. She understood that by responding thoughtfully rather than with anger, she had not only protected herself but also helped create awareness about how individuals, especially young people, should be treated in public spaces. Her father continued to guide her, reinforcing the lessons of composure, dignity, and the importance of seeking fair and just resolution when faced with mistreatment. As the night progressed, the story continued to trend online. People shared their own experiences, reflecting on moments when they had been treated unfairly and how they could have responded with more composure. Discussions about professionalism, respect, and empathy in customer interactions became widespread. The young girl, despite the initial shock and pain, began to see the larger impact of the incident. She realized that this was not just about a single act of wrongdoing, but about raising awareness and encouraging positive change in how people treat one another. By the end of the day, the boutique incident had become more than a personal story. It had become a conversation about respect, accountability, and the importance of handling conflict responsibly. The young girl, supported by her father and friends, felt a growing sense of empowerment. She understood that while she could not control the actions of others, she could control her own response and use her experience to encourage awareness and understanding. The viral nature of the story meant that her voice, calm and composed, was reaching far beyond the boutique, influencing people who would never have witnessed the incident in person but could learn from her example. The day after the incident, the young girl and her father began taking more concrete steps to address the situation. Though the story had already captured public attention, Shaquille O'Neal was determined to handle the matter personally, ensuring that the boutique took responsibility and that the manager's actions were properly addressed. He had always taught his daughter the importance of standing up for herself in a calm and respectful way, and now he was putting that lesson into practice. He knew that a public confrontation was not about intimidation or anger, but about accountability, fairness, and the message it sent to others. Shaquille contacted the boutique's corporate office first. He introduced himself professionally and explained the situation clearly, detailing the events of the previous day, including the slap and the manager's behavior. His voice was firm, but not aggressive. "I'm not calling to threaten anyone," he said. "I'm calling to ensure that a serious incident is addressed properly and that it never happens again. My daughter was treated unfairly, and we expect accountability." He emphasized that the focus was on ensuring respect and proper conduct in the store, not on creating a scandal. The boutique management quickly realized the seriousness of the situation. They had been receiving numerous messages from concerned customers and followers on social media, all demanding an explanation. The videos of the manager slapping the girl had gone viral, and the story had reached news outlets across the country. The corporate office immediately contacted the boutique to discuss next steps, emphasizing the need to take swift action to resolve the matter and restore public confidence. Meanwhile, the manager who had slapped the girl was beginning to understand the gravity of her actions. She had initially tried to justify her behavior internally, claiming that the girl had been careless and that she had only reacted out of stress. But with the mounting public attention and the involvement of Shaquille O'Neal, she realized that excuses would no longer be acceptable. She began to feel the weight of responsibility and the consequences of her impulsive action. For the first time, she truly understood that a single moment of poor judgment could have far-reaching effects on her career, the boutique's reputation, and the lives of others. Shaquille arranged to visit the boutique personally, intending to speak with the manager and the staff. He did not go to intimidate or threaten anyone. Instead, he went to ensure that accountability was upheld and to make a clear statement about the importance of respect. When he arrived, the boutique staff immediately recognized him. There was a brief moment of tension as the manager realized who she was dealing with, but Shaquille remained calm and composed. His demeanor was steady, his voice controlled, and his presence commanding without being aggressive. He requested a private meeting with the manager first. In the meeting, he calmly recounted the incident, describing how his daughter had been treated and explaining the public response. He emphasized that what had happened was unacceptable, not only because it had caused physical and emotional harm to his daughter but also because it reflected poorly on the boutique as a whole. "This is about respect and accountability," he said. "No one, regardless of their age or background, should ever be treated this way. I expect appropriate action to be taken immediately." The manager, visibly nervous and remorseful, apologized for her actions. She explained that she had been under stress and had acted impulsively, but she admitted that her behavior was wrong and unprofessional. She expressed regret for hurting the young girl and for the negative attention the incident had caused the boutique. Shaquille listened carefully, acknowledging the apology but making it clear that words alone were not enough. Appropriate disciplinary action and staff training needed to follow to prevent similar incidents in the future. Following the meeting, Shaquille also addressed the staff collectively. He emphasized the importance of maintaining professionalism, even under stress, and treating all customers with respect and courtesy. He shared lessons about empathy, patience, and understanding, highlighting that mistakes could happen, but how people responded afterward mattered greatly. His tone was firm but encouraging, aiming to teach rather than punish unnecessarily. The staff listened attentively, realizing that this was not just a confrontation but a learning opportunity. Meanwhile, the young girl's story continued to gain traction in the media. Interviews and news reports highlighted both the incident and Shaquille's calm, measured response. Many people praised him for handling the situation with dignity, demonstrating how to protect and support a loved one without resorting to anger or intimidation. The narrative focused not just on the wrongdoing of the manager but also on the lessons about composure, accountability, and the importance of addressing unfair treatment responsibly. Public opinion overwhelmingly supported the girl and her father, further pressuring the boutique to take meaningful action. Social media discussions also shifted from outrage toward broader reflection. People began talking about the importance of professionalism, the challenges of handling stress in customer service roles, and the value of empathy in everyday interactions. The story became a reference point for conversations about respect, accountability, and the way individuals respond to conflict. Many praised the girl for her courage and composure, noting that her calmness under pressure had helped bring attention to a serious issue while maintaining dignity and respect. As the boutique implemented changes, they issued a formal public statement acknowledging the incident. They expressed regret for what had happened, promised disciplinary action against the manager, and announced new staff training programs designed to prevent future incidents. This included training on handling stressful situations, improving communication with customers, and understanding the importance of treating all patrons with respect, regardless of age or background. The boutique also committed to creating a safer and more welcoming environment for shoppers, reinforcing the lessons learned from the incident. Through this process, the young girl and her father continued to emphasize the importance of maintaining composure and integrity. She reflected on the events of the past few days, realizing that her ability to stay calm had not only protected her but also helped create meaningful change. She felt empowered, knowing that even in the face of unfair treatment, she had the ability to influence the outcome positively. The support from her friends, family, and the wider public reinforced the idea that standing up for oneself could be done respectfully and effectively. The manager, facing the consequences of her actions, also began to reflect deeply. She understood that a single moment of poor judgment could have lasting effects, not only on the people involved but also on her own reputation and career. The experience became a turning point for her, prompting personal reflection and a renewed commitment to professionalism and empathy. Staff members were reminded that every action, no matter how small, could impact others significantly and that accountability and respect were fundamental to maintaining trust and credibility in any workplace. For the young girl, the incident became more than just a personal challenge, it became a lesson in resilience and advocacy. She realized that her response could inspire others to handle conflict thoughtfully and assertively, demonstrating that it was possible to protect oneself while remaining composed and respectful. She also recognized the importance of speaking up, seeking support when necessary, and ensuring that those who act unfairly are held accountable. The experience strengthened her confidence, teaching her that standing up for herself could create positive change not only for her own situation but for the broader community. As the days passed, the boutique began to rebuild its reputation, taking steps to restore trust and demonstrate genuine accountability. News reports and social media updates highlighted the steps taken, including staff training, disciplinary action, and formal apologies. Customers began returning, reassured by the boutique's commitment to creating a respectful and welcoming environment. The young girl and her father continued to receive messages of support from people who admired how they handled the situation. Their calm, thoughtful, and composed approach became a widely recognized example of addressing conflict effectively without resorting to anger or retaliation. In the end, the incident at the boutique became a story not just about an unfortunate act but about accountability, learning, and the power of composure. The young girl's courage, the father's guidance, and the boutique's eventual response all contributed to a broader conversation about respect, professionalism, and the importance of handling conflict responsibly. It was a moment of challenge transformed into an opportunity for growth, understanding, and positive change, demonstrating that even in difficult situations, calmness, dignity, and thoughtful action could create meaningful outcomes for everyone involved. After the boutique incident had made national headlines, the young girl's life gradually began to return to normal, though she carried with her a new sense of awareness and confidence. The immediate shock and embarrassment of being slapped in public had passed, replaced by the satisfaction of knowing that the situation had been handled thoughtfully and responsibly. She reflected on how much she had learned from the experience, the importance of staying calm under pressure, the value of support from friends and family, and the power of speaking up when treated unfairly. These lessons were ones she would carry with her for the rest of her life. Her father, Shaquille O'Neal, remained a steady source of guidance throughout this period. He took the time to sit with her regularly, discussing not just the incident itself but also the broader lessons it presented. He emphasized that while the world could be unfair at times, responding with dignity, composure, and intelligence was far more powerful than reacting with anger. Life will throw challenges at you, he explained, but how you handle them defines your character. You showed everyone, including yourself, that you can face injustice without losing your calm. These conversations helped the young girl internalize her father's advice, strengthening her ability to approach future challenges with confidence and clarity. The boutique itself underwent significant changes in response to the public outcry and Shaquille's involvement. Staff members were required to participate in new training programs focused on customer service, professionalism, and conflict resolution. They learned how to remain calm under stress, how to communicate respectfully with all customers, and how to prevent situations from escalating unnecessarily. The manager who had slapped the girl faced disciplinary action, which included formal warnings and mandatory training sessions, as well as supervision to ensure that such behavior would not happen again. The boutique issued a public apology acknowledging the incident and explaining the steps taken to improve the work environment and ensure the safety and respect of all customers. The young girl noticed changes in the boutique's atmosphere when she and her friends visited again. The staff greeted them warmly, with smiles and professional attentiveness. It was clear that the training and public accountability had made a difference. Items on display were handled carefully by staff members who had been reminded of the importance of respect and courtesy. The experience gave the girl a sense of satisfaction, knowing that her actions had indirectly contributed to a positive change, ensuring that future shoppers would feel safe and valued. It was a small but meaningful victory, showing her that even difficult experiences could lead to positive outcomes. Social media continued to celebrate the young girl's composure and strength. People shared her story as an example of how to handle unfair treatment with grace and intelligence. Messages poured in from teenagers and young adults who had faced similar situations, expressing how inspired they were by her response. "I can't believe how calm you stayed," one person wrote. "You taught me that keeping your composure is the best way to handle unfair situations." Others highlighted the importance of family support, noting how her father's guidance had helped her navigate the challenge responsibly. This recognition reinforced the young girl's understanding that standing up for herself could also encourage and empower others. The experience also sparked discussions within communities about professionalism, respect, and empathy. Schools, youth organizations, and even local businesses began referencing the incident in conversations about how to treat others fairly, especially in stressful situations. The story became a teaching moment, demonstrating the power of composure, accountability, and proper communication. The young girl felt proud knowing that her actions and the way she had handled the situation were influencing others positively, encouraging a more thoughtful and respectful approach to conflict resolution. In her personal life, the girl's confidence grew. She realized that she had the ability to face unexpected challenges calmly and assertively. She became more aware of her own strength, understanding that she could advocate for herself while maintaining dignity. Her friends continued to support her, noting how composed she had been throughout the ordeal. Their admiration reinforced her self-esteem and helped her recognize the importance of a supportive circle of family and friends when facing difficult situations. She felt empowered, knowing that she had handled an unfair situation in a way that protected her dignity and promoted justice. Shaquille O'Neal also used the experience as an opportunity to teach broader lessons about respect and responsibility. In interviews and public statements, he emphasized that the incident was not just about one boutique or one manager, but about the importance of empathy and professionalism in all areas of life. He spoke about how individuals should treat each other with respect, regardless of age, background, or status, and how accountability should always be part of the response when mistakes are made. His words resonated with many, further highlighting the positive impact of handling conflict thoughtfully and responsibly. As weeks passed, the young girl continued to reflect on the incident, seeing it as a moment of personal growth. She realized that even though she had been wronged, she had gained valuable skills and insights that would serve her well in the future. She had learned how to manage her emotions, communicate effectively under pressure, and rely on her support system when necessary. The experience strengthened her resilience and prepared her to face future challenges with confidence and poise. The boutique, now under increased scrutiny and public awareness, implemented additional measures to ensure that all customers felt respected and valued. Staff members were reminded regularly of the importance of professionalism and empathy, and customer feedback was taken more seriously than ever before. The incident served as a catalyst for change, leading to a safer, more welcoming environment for everyone who visited. The young girl, though she had been the victim of an unfair act, had indirectly contributed to this positive transformation. Her calmness and courage had helped set a new standard for how customers should be treated and how conflicts should be resolved. In the months that followed, the young girl's story became a reference point in discussions about conflict resolution, respect, and accountability. Teachers, mentors, and community leaders used it as an example to educate others about handling difficult situations with integrity. The message was clear: even in the face of unfair treatment, maintaining composure, seeking guidance from trusted sources, and advocating for oneself respectfully could lead to meaningful change. The young girl's experience inspired many to reflect on their own behavior and how they responded to challenges, encouraging a more thoughtful and empathetic approach to conflict. The girl also found personal fulfillment in knowing that her experience had a positive impact on others. She received letters and messages from people thanking her for showing that it was possible to face adversity with dignity and grace. Parents praised her for demonstrating how to handle difficult situations, and young people admired her for her courage and self-control. These responses reinforced her understanding that even challenging experiences could be transformed into opportunities for teaching, learning, and inspiring others. As the story reached its final stages in public attention, the boutique continued to uphold its promises of accountability and improvement. The manager who had slapped the girl remained under supervision and participated in ongoing training to ensure that similar incidents would not occur in the future. The boutique staff had embraced the lessons of professionalism and respect, creating a safer and more welcoming environment for shoppers. The young girl and her father were satisfied that their efforts had led to tangible changes, demonstrating the effectiveness of calm, thoughtful, and responsible action in addressing wrongdoing. Looking back, the young girl saw the incident as a defining moment in her life. What had started as a shocking and unfair experience had become an opportunity for growth, learning, and empowerment. She had learned the value of composure, the strength of family support, and the importance of standing up for oneself in a respectful and thoughtful way. Her father's guidance had been invaluable, teaching her lessons that extended far beyond this single incident. The experience had strengthened her character, preparing her to face future challenges with confidence and wisdom. In the end, the boutique incident was not just about a moment of wrongdoing, it became a story of resilience, accountability, and positive change. The young girl's courage and composure, combined with her father's guidance and the public's support, created a situation where lessons were learned, justice was served, and a lasting impact was made. The boutique staff and management were reminded of the importance of respect and professionalism, and the wider community was inspired by the example of handling conflict thoughtfully and responsibly. The incident became a powerful reminder that even in the face of unfair treatment, dignity, calmness, and integrity could lead to meaningful outcomes and inspire others to do the same. And so, life slowly returned to normal for the young girl. She continued her daily routines, went to school, spent time with friends, and pursued her interests, carrying with her the knowledge that she had faced an unfair situation with courage and composure. The boutique incident, while difficult and upsetting, had ultimately strengthened her sense of self, deepened her understanding of respect and accountability, and given her a story to share, one that could inspire others to act with dignity and integrity in the face of challenges.